Grandma, he's not getting better. Oh dear. Who's this? Ah, Sergio. This is Tanya, one of the Nostradamus cult handmaiden lady things. And she's come here on my request to help our guest revive by getting naked and lying next to him, also naked, in bed, and trying to warm him up a bit and trying to give him some sort of a boost. I'm not sure of his sexuality. I'm pretty sure he's straight. Actually, no, I know exactly who he is. He is straight. And I actually know that this handmaiden is, in fact, his on and off girlfriend, but with her memory, with amnesia, and she's been made to think she's this handmaiden called Tanya. So what I'm actually trying to do is trying to, whilst revive him, I'm trying to get her memories back up, and I'm trying to get them together because I actually kind of like them being together. So I'm trying to do 3 things at once at the same time with one big stone, if you know what I mean. Huge cow? Right, Sergio, this next bit is not suitable for anyone under the age of 18, or even though if I personally was rating this film, I would give it a 12, but the film didn't have a sex scene, it just had full nudity, so if we just go outside for a few minutes, yes. Okay. Right, time to get to work, you two. Fujiko. Oh. Honey? Hold on a second. You're not completely naked just yet. You've got this silly wet wristband on. Hang on a second. I'll just spice it off. There you go. There you go, darling. Lupin? Is that you? Yeah, it's me. Oh, Lupin. Oh, thank goodness. Oh. They tried to turn me into one of their bloody... What are they? Cultists? I guess. Oh, thank God I found you. How did we find each other? Oh, this, nice boy, rescued me, after something went wrong with my most recent plan, and he and his grandmother nursed me back to health. With you, of course, naturally, because you were the big guns, so to speak, as the grandmother said. I see. Literally? Literally. Wink, wink. Nod, nod. Woo! Actually, I realised how fun this was. Well, if you let me have my way a bit more, perhaps you would understand. Oh, I'm not going to be that naive at that point. Oh, treat it as a treat for both of us. Yeah. Whoa! Oh, that was fun. oh, that did the trick. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that worked. Yeah, all right. It worked. Cool. That's nice. Oh, good. Round 2? You're right then. I'm not that young. Anyway, Well, that was easier than I expected. Nice plan. But now we need to rescue Julia. Quickly. Let's go. Right, on with the review. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Lupin the Third, Farewell to Nostradamus, the fourth animated Lupin the Third theatrical film, and this time coming out 10 years after the previous one, Legend of the Gold of Babylon. So this one comes out in 1995. During this time, the Lupin franchise had started doing television specials yearly, as well as a few OVAs, including the Fuma Conspiracy, which did get a limited theatrical run, I think. So at this point in time, it's mainly just television specials for the franchise, and there's no new TV series until 2012. And there will only be 2 more films before the films go on a big break before 2013. Also, if I said that this would be the first film to feature the Red Jackets, actually I think Mr. and Mamo did. I'm doing these before watching Mr. and Mamo, so if you're watching these in order, I'm sorry for the mishap at the end of Legend of the Gold of Babylon's review. And if I did make that mistake, and just ignore this one, apart from the fact that Lupin's wearing the red jacket in this film. But anyway, so Farewell to Nostradamus. The plot of this film sees Lupin and Jigen steal a diamond and hide it in this doll. However, on a plane ride, a little girl who turns out to be Julia Douglas, the daughter of a certain Mr. Douglas, who's one of the richest people in the world and running for presidency in America. She steals Lupin's doll and eventually leads him to Fujikamini, who is her tutor. However, their plan is hijacked by some terrorists. In exchange for their demands, they'll release the people on the plane in Morocco. However, their bomb, which they're using, is made to go off sooner by a guy called Chris, and eventually leading him to being able to kidnap Julia as part of a bigger scheme to prevent Douglas from becoming president. And it's revealed that Fujiko took the job of being Julia's tutor so that she can steal this book, The Truth About Nostradamus, which is what this cult, the Nostradamus cult, claim to have. And it's revealed that Chris is working with the cult leader. I can't remember his name. Was it Risley? I'll call him Risley, but if his name's wrong, I apologise. Chris is working with Risley so that people would believe their truths. I think there's a couple of references to Babylon there, which is a nice nod to the last film, as well as the tower as well, which I think Jigen makes a reference to. It's worth noting that Goemon is also on the trail of these books, and he discovers that the one the cult has is fake and starts looking for the real one, which is how he meets up with the others later on. Lupin and Jigen try to steal the real book from Douglas's safe, but finds they are unable to penetrate the vault. Meanwhile, Chris hijacks the television airways to announce Julia's kidnapping, and also kidnaps Fujiko with Zenigata watching in dismay. Oh yeah, he's popping up now and again, Zenigata. He's trying to find Lupin. Eventually, Lupin, Jigen, and Goemon devise a plan to get information from Lupin's Uncle Philip on Execution Island, wherever that is, to try and find out more about the Nostradamus book and cult. However, Chris and his people are able to However, Chris and his people get to Philip first and try to find the information out themselves, killing Philip. However, Lupin finds that I think it's his left eye. Philip's left eye is glass and takes it with him as a souvenir. But a botched escape mission leads to Jigen, Goemon, and Zenigata, who's turned up again looking for Lupin. Think he's died, which leads to Zenigata having a bit of a mental breakdown, and Jigen and Goemon swearing revenge. That would have been a really interesting story, and I would have liked a bit more of that played out for all three characters. However, Lupin is found by this boy called Stefano, I believe. It's not Italian, but it sounds like an Italian name. And he and his grandmother nurse him back to health. And one day they bring a member of one of the girls the Nostradamus cult have, handmaidens, I guess, to come into bed with him naked and sort of revive him. Turns out it's Fujiko, and she's had her memories wiped, and now she's going by the name of Tanya, or Tanya. FYI, if this scene wasn't in the film, I think this film, if the BBFC would classify this film, I'm not sure if they have, if I was in charge, I would have given this film a PG if it wasn't for that scene. However, that scene I think it's the only scene with full nudity, which is usual in the Lupin series. So if I was giving this an age rating, it would be a 12 for one scene of full nudity. Also say moderate violence as well, but I think the violence could be okay for PG, possibly. But yeah, anyway, that's just a bit of trivia information. Anyway, so Lupin decides to investigate this cathedral where he discovers Julia and also Fujiko. And there's also a bit where he gets to snog her while she's still forgotten her memories, where he gets to have a bit of, just gets to kiss her at one point. Where he just gets to kiss her for a bit, hoping that she'd get her memories back. However, it's Julia who eventually snaps her out of it by cutting off her wristband. And then Lupin's a second attempt to have a snog that is met by that. Also, it's worth noting that Julia keeps calling him a pedophile throughout the film because, well, I suppose he kind of is, but she presumes he is earlier on. She doesn't really call him by his actual name throughout the film. She just calls him pedophile. I wonder how she'd refer to him when recalling the story when she's older, whether she'd call him Lupin or whether she'd just call him pedophile again. Anyway, so the three escape with help from Stefano. However, Julia is kidnapped in the botched escape, but Goemon and Jigen are able to rescue the rest of them. And eventually they decide to go to the Earth building to try and prevent it from being destroyed by the cult upon their visit. However, whilst Risley is getting new people to join the cult, including Julia's mother, as a way to try and rescue her daughter when it appears that her father does not care, Chris goes in and tries to steal the secrets of Nostradamus himself. She's trapped inside a suitcase with Zenigata as well, as he's on his way to try and find her. And the Lupin gang they realise they can't get rid of the bombs. They have to get everybody out of the building whilst they search for Nostradamus' secrets and confront Chris and Risley, which they do. Eventually, Chris is kind of caught in a little trap, but Julia is able to help Lupin then Jigen to get themselves into the area without any problems. Well, at least not to continue having problems anyway. However, Risley takes Julia's parents captive and tries to assassinate Fujiko, revealing that he was the one that hired her and was going to pay her for the secrets. I'm not sure why he needed her why he had this plan to pretend to be this rich millionaire in Florida and hire Fujiko. Maybe it was part of his plan to have her become Julia's tutor so that she could take Julia out of the country so Chris could kidnap her. That's the only thing I can guess, but other than that, not sure what the point was. And eventually Chris sets off the bombs by accident because he's getting so scared with his whole thing. He sets off the bombs, which causes the building to collapse. Chris manages to snap out of it, but after a bit of a fight with Lupin, he's crushed by the building, as is Risley, and everybody else escapes. Yeah, that's pretty much the end, apart from a few talking scenes down on the ground, when Julia's reunited with her parents. Fujiko tries to steal Lupin's diamond with the doll, but it's revealed Julia already had the diamond anyway and returns it to Lupin, and they agree to get Stefano a new boat as it was damaged earlier. And the Earth building continues to blow up and crush itself down. If this was post 9/11, I think a few people would get a bit upset. Yeah, but thankfully it's pre 9/11. Also, the song at the end is a tribute song to the original Japanese actor of Lupin III, who passed away during the making of this movie. He recorded lines for the trailer, but was unable to record the entire movie, and was replaced by, I think it's the current actor, I might be wrong. There's also a written bit in Japanese that is a tribute to the actor, and I think, yeah, this is a nice tribute to the actor. Great film, and the ending is a lovely tribute to him. So much that this review is dedicated to the actor. I can't remember his name, but it's at the very start, if you noticed. But as for Farewell to Nostradamus, this film is brilliant. I mean, okay, it's not amazing, but it's brilliant. It's very fun. It's not as good as Castle Cagliostro. That film was just, that was something else. But this one is a worthy addition to the Lupin franchise. It's a lot less sillier than... It's less silly than Legend of the Golden Babylon. Not to the extent of it being serious or anything. It's still Lupin. But it's not taking itself too campy. It's actually levels the seriousness and the comedic elements fairly well, which is, I think, is something that Lupin from Part 2 onwards was very good at. I think Part 1 was supposed to be quite serious, but I don't know how successful that was. And then Part 3 was quite comedic. But Parts 2, 4, 5, and maybe some of the other specials and films and OVAs are a bit more kind of a level between the two. I think A Woman Called Future Kamini is also a bit more serious. That one's definitely a more darker series from what I've seen of that. I've not seen a full episode, but from what I've seen and heard, that's definitely a bit more of a darker story, darker series. But certainly the Part 2, 4, 5 elements are in this one, which is probably the best way to go, which is a level of seriousness and comedic fun. It's a very enjoyable film, some very funny moments, but also does have a bit of a serious storyline going for it. And it doesn't go over the top outlandish like Legend of Golden Babylon, which is always good. It keeps itself a bit more grounded in the series. English dub-wise, I think the cast do a pretty good job, apart from the actor doing Goemon, where he sounds a bit too normal. He doesn't sound quite like how Goemon would sound in English. He sounds closer to maybe Jigen, but putting on a voice. P.S. The guy doing Jigen, he must be the regular Jigen guy, I'm guessing. Well, to be honest, they have a lot of different English cast members, whichever incarnation we're looking at. But I'm pretty sure this guy's done quite a few. Certainly sounds familiar. Maybe he's the Castle Cagliostro guy. Maybe same for Lupin, perhaps. Definitely for Fujiko. Definitely the Castle Cagliostro 1991 dub voice actress. Also, Zenigata's voice actor doesn't fit his role that well, to be honest. I think out of Castle Cagliostro, Legend of Golden Babylon, and Farewell to Nostradamus, the best voice cast has been Legend with the 2018 dubbing, was it 2017, 2018 dubbing of Legend of the Golden Babylon, with the usual part, with the Part 4 cast at least. Part 2, Part 4, Part 5 cast, which is probably the best English voice cast. However, I think the guys and girls of Lupin, Fujiko, and Jigen do really solid work here. But I think Goemon and Zenigata are miscast. Anybody else is, depending on what the character would sound like in Japanese or how they appear in the film. For starters, I think Risley, I think the guy they get here sounds a bit too normal for a someone who's predicting certain doom and gloom. He doesn't quite have that in his voice. However, the guy doing Chris works really well. The actress doing Julia Douglas, who is Laura Bailey, who was in one of the 2 Chimp movies, I think the second one, as well as the Avengers TV animated series. She does a good job as Julia, as do the actors doing her parents. They do a good job. And I think other supporting characters are handled well. I think the only supporting character who is a bit miscast is the guy doing Risley, the main villain. Although, to be honest, actually the main villain might be the henchman, Chris. But Risley's the head of the cult. I think he's the only supporting character who's miscast, whilst the main character would be Goemon and Zenigata. in the English dub. I'm not sure about the Japanese one. If the guy who replaced the original Lupin, who was great, by the way, the replacement is the one who's still doing it now. He's also really great, so I can safely say that about him. But yeah, animation looks really great. Some really cool stuff here. I think for the films, I can't say for Mystery Mamo just yet, but since Castle Cagliostro, they've certainly had strong animation throughout the films. In fact, I think since Lupin the Third Part 2, the series has had strong animation. It was a bit weaker before that, but from Part 2 onwards, it's pretty strong for the most parts. And this film is no exception. This one is a pretty strong animated film. Some really cool stuff here, and it moves at a very good pace. The tone fits, as I mentioned, I think it's a very Part 2-esque tone, which is probably the best tone. It's kind of level seriousness and level humour. It's funny without being over the top or campy, and it's got a bit of seriousness. It's not too serious, it's not too dark or anything. It's a good balance between seriousness and fun, enjoyable, and comedy. It's pretty much a good example of a family film if we were going to in the family friendly sector of the series, which the anime is compared to the manga, minus stronger uses of violence, language, and mild to moderate language, and every now and again you'll have a full nudity, especially with female characters. Some of the animes are a bit more in line with the mangas, whilst some of them are a bit more family friendly, but for the most part it's kind of like a 50-50, and I think this one fits into that 50-50 category, but does lean on the more family-friendly side, like Castle Cagliostro did. If it wasn't for that full nudity scene, it probably would be a PG if I was in charge of the BBFC. However, as it is, it would probably get a 12 if I was in charge, unless full nudity equal to 15. But I would say 12. In which case, Legend of the Gold of Babylon would be a 15 as well, but I passed that at 12, so I think... But if I was in charge, I'd pass that one as a 12 as well, so I think that would be fine. Anyway, but we're not talking about that anymore. But yeah, I think on the whole, this film is really fun and really enjoyable. Some great music as well, great animation, a mostly great English voice cast. Pretty sure the Japanese voice cast is really good as well. In fact, maybe even better, perhaps, because it's a Japanese franchise. They most likely do the better version, possibly, question mark. Then again, you might be able to say that about other things from other countries, and we're not always certain, maybe. But I'm sure they did a great job here. As for the English people, most of them were cast well and did great performances. Others were miscast, but they tried. In fact, the Zenigata actor does try. He is good, but he's also miscast at the same time, which is a shame. But I still think he's good. This film isn't hugely well regarded by most audiences or fans of the franchise. To be honest, I think this one is a pretty good film. And to be honest, I definitely think it's better than Gold of Babylon. I think it's a stronger story, more entertaining, more fun, better tone. Characters are more enjoyable, and yeah, some really good moments and really great stuff. As a overall product, I think it's a great installment. I shall be giving Lupin the Third, Farewell to Nostradamus, a 8 out of 10. It's spectacular or anything. It's not Castle Cagliostro. There's very little that could be Castle Cagliostro, but this film is certainly a very good installment in this franchise. I think it's a worthy installment and definitely brings the films of the Lupin series back for the 90s. He's only got the television specials at the moment, which are pretty much shorter movies, or maybe the length of 3 episodes of a show. But yeah, he's only having one adventure a year at the moment until the films came back with one special, as there was no shows until from 1985 to 2012. There was an OVA in 87, then the special started in 89, and then got an annual special. I don't know if it's every year or every year up to 2013, with some after 2013. But certainly mostly on television, no shows until 2012, and no films until 1995. And then after 1996, the films went away again until 2013. So it's really only the television specials at the moment, besides these two films, this one and the next one, Dead or Alive. Plus the occasional OVA, original animation video, or video animation. However, with the TV series The Woman Called Future Comedian in 2012, that would start up the Lupin franchise resurgence that would happen throughout the 2010s. But as for this film, I think it's very good. Also, it's also made as a condemnation of the 1995 Tokyo subway attack. And yeah, I think this film works really well as a condemnation of such tragedy, whilst also being an honour and a dedication to a beloved actor, a voice actor in this case. And on that note, it's a great film, and I hope I can't remember his name, but the original voice actor for Lupin, I hope he's happy how this one turned out, even if he wasn't there for it. I'm hoping he liked his dedication to it, because he certainly deserved it. And as I mentioned, I dedicate this review to him. I'm sorry I've forgotten his name. It's at the very start, and here's to him. But I'm hoping he's up there watching this, thinking to himself, yeah, that was a good film, wasn't it? Anyway, so that's it from me. Thank you for watching. The next Lupin film is Lupin the Third, Dead or Alive, which, funnily enough, is directed by original Lupin creator Monkey Punch, who also has a hand in the story. So we'll see how that turns out. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my the fourth film in the fourth theatrical film, animated film in the Lupin the Third. So at this point in time, we've moved away from the TV series and into television specials, and yeah, it's just gonna so farewell to Nostradamus. How does this film hold up? Well, also, however, a little girl steals the doll from Lupin, and however, on their plane ride, the it's worth. Anyway, so Lupin. With Julia kept inside, along with Zenigata, trying to find her, and Lupin. With Zenigata with her, trying to hang on. Which kills Risley, but everybody else escapes. Well, Chris and Risley escape, even though Chris snaps out, which causes him. And the building blows up in a if this was in and the building blows up. Don't worry, it's post 9/11, so it's or at least the guy who would go on to do it quite a lot more. Or at least his immediate successor, anyway. So yeah. And it's a nice song, and it's a nice tribute. And this review is dedicated to... Shut up, you bastard. And, yeah, as well as that... Come on, you... And I think that was a... And I think it's a... Also, Zenigata's a bit, strangely... I think the best dub animation, which... is probably the best English cast, to be honest, which is Laura Bailey from who it's seriousness without having to be dark or lose some of that more fun element. it's got a bit of seriousness without having to be too serious, which most of the anime is, minus stronger. And I think this one fits into that 50-50 category really well. And I think it's a really... Although he's currently stuck on television at the... And when I say... although the franchise will get a bit more of a resurgence in content following 2012's The Woman Who called Fujiko Mine, the TV series, and the return. However, in 2012 with The Woman Who, from that point onwards, with new shows, TV specials, with new TV shows, different type, which included new TV shows, the occasional special / film. Never mind that. But hopefully he's happy with But hopefully it was a nice dedication, because he certainly deserved something like this. He certainly deserved this. And in all honour, I dedicate this. And I hope I hope with him up there, he's watching this and thinking, yeah, I liked that film. I'm glad that film gave me that dedication. No, hang on. And if he's watching up there, I'm hoping he's thinking that he liked. And if he's up there watching this, I'm hope he's thinking to himself, yeah, it was a good film, wasn't it? Well, I hope so. He's got the dedication for. It's got the dedication for him at the end. It's got to be at least. He's got to at least like it. Well, I suppose. Well, he doesn't have to, but you know. But never mind. No. Well, I'm hoping he's up there thinking to himself. Lupin the Third, the Herald to Nostradamus sketch. Okay, let's go. Okay, that was actually quite fun. Okay. Calling and action. Hang on. Okay, now. Nice plan. But now we know we need to